Hello, I'm Justin with NRN, the Noble Racing Network, and today SRL hosted their second annual Indy 500, a very big race for SRL, obviously because it's part of the road to the Triple Crown, and simply because it's Indy. Everyone wants to win Indy. It's like, it's a driver's dream. Dion Stahl was the only driver going into the race that had winner's experience when he won last year on Gran Turismo. So would he be able to reclaim victory at Indy again? 10 cars would be on the grid, and based on practice time, Sandro Dulis had been the quickest in the first 3 practice sessions, and everything looked to be pointing towards him leading up to the race. However, we still had 100 laps to race, and as you know with Indy, anything can happen and nothing is promised. It was a good start to the race, and right off the bat it looked like there were 2 cars to watch in the race. Those cars would be Francis McGinn, who is a Formula One racer in SRL, and a newcomer, Vasilios. Those 2 stayed glued to one another for the majority of the race, trading positions every other lap or so. I was surprised, though, at the lack of pace from drivers like Cameron Weston Edwards, Sandro Dulis, and former winner Dion Stahl. They just didn't seem to have much pace to get up there and fight with Francis and Vasilios, who, although they were fighting hard between one another, they were starting to run away with it. Kind of reminded me of what we saw in Pocono between Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, and Kyle Busch with the rest of the field. It was still close between those 3, but they were taking off from everyone else. That's kind of what we had here in this Indy 500. The race will be broken down into 3 stages like that of NASCAR, which I did love that format and thought it provided for some excitement out there, mixing up the pit strategies and having close racing on those restarts. Francis and Vasilios would pit right before the end of those sessions so that they could reclaim their leads at the front of the field. That seemed to be the best pit strategy working out for them. Nick Van Gelder, who had a notch on the Triple Crown, he had won Monaco previously, so he had one of those notches he needed to get that Triple Crown. He was having a miserable day, pretty much running in last, a quarter of an hour behind the race leader. Not the day he was wanting. He would eventually retire from the race after saying pretty much to hell with it. Funtz was another driver that was running up there in the top 3 early on, but he would start to fade after he got some damage. The nail in the coffin, though, for him, I believe, was this very bizarre incident during the second caution when he and Colin Higgins collided with one another on the front stretch. And his car was totally destroyed. In fact, it got airborne. I remember watching it just going, what the hell happened there? But both those cars would be pretty much destroyed. He would limp back. I think he was like 9 laps down or something like that when he finally rejoined the race. But, however, he would still be around there at the 3rd stage, which brings me to this. Coming to the 3rd and final run to the finish, Sandro Dulis, he did get a good run, but so did Funtz. And Funtz was looking to the inside of Sandro, and the 2 made contact. Funtz would lose his front wing, and I do believe that damage also hurt Sandro's car because he got to the inside of Francis into turn 1, but he couldn't make the pass. And it looked to me as though Sandro moved down on top of Funtz to, cause that damage. However, why was Funtz there to begin with? He was a lap down. Not only was he a lap down, he was several laps down. I mean, did he really believe that he could go up there, pass Sandro, Francis, and Vasilios, make up his lap, and come from behind to win the race in just the few short laps they had? I don't think so. I mean, it's a racing incident, sure. Those things happen. And it's hard to make those little decisions in the car when you only have seconds to make them. But if you're a lap down, if you're several laps down, you've got to consider the leaders in the race. You just got to back off just a smidge. Maybe Sandro was never going to have the car to go up there and do it, but I don't think he ever got the chance because clearly that damage hindered his car in some way because he just could not keep up with those 2. Francis and Vasilios would carry on a marvelous battle for the win while the laps continued to click off. Francis's car started to glitch a tad, and at some point I almost lost it completely thinking that he'd smash into the wall, but he didn't. It was just glitching. But several times I was like, holy crap, there he goes, but he never went anywhere. He was on pace and running fine. So that looked weird. Sandro was hanging back in 3rd, pretty far behind there. His biggest chance to win was going to be to wait for something to happen up front. Perhaps Francis and Vasilios would crash and Sandro could ride by, waving and smiling all the way home to the finish going, see ya, suckers! And something did happen up front, though. Something did happen up front. Now, I've watched this a few times, and there really wasn't a conclusive shot of the incident for me to analyze for my my analysis. But Francis may have tapped Vasilios, and that caused him to go off the track, or simply Vasilios made a mistake that cost him big. Either way, the debutant Vasilios would crash, handing Sandro second. And I joked with Sam Brandt during the broadcast, who, by the way, did a great job in the commentary box. And I really enjoyed listening to him. That Sandro, who drove for Team Penske, should use that Penske power to run down Francis. Use the Penske power! I've always said that Penske's got another gear that no one knows about. First, second, third, fourth, Penske power! But I may have jinxed my buddy Sandro because right after I sent that message, he ran out of fuel and had to pit. And I said, I guess he used too much Penske power and used up all the gas he had left in that car. That would cost him a shot at the podium, though. Not that a podium was what he was after anyway. There's no points involved. It's not like he can go, well, at least we finished third. That's good for us. No, you want to win. That's what that race was about. Sam Brandt even said that in the commentary. It's all about winning. There is no other finishing positions. So Francis McGinn would come, see, and kick some ass, winning the second annual SRL Indy 500. Big win for he in his career. And he now has himself a notch on the Triple Crown. And a huge congratulations on a job well done is deserved for Francis McGinn, who will earn the No Bull Driver of the race. And I don't believe that's the first time he's received that honor. If it is an honor to receive it, even. I don't know. But Francis McGinn is the No Bull Driver of the race. Cameron Western Edwards would overcome adversity to finish second. And Dion Stahl would finish third, with Sandro Dulis finishing fourth. Who would have guessed the race would have turned out that way? Going into practice, looking at the charts, I wouldn't have expected it to play out quite like that. But Francis McGinn picks up the win. And I do want to say something about the race. For those of you who know me or follow me, you know that I play a lot of project cars. My friends who aren't race fans tease me about how I have a PlayStation and really only ever play one video game for hours on end. They give me other video games. I play them a little bit, but always return to project cars. I'm obsessed. But I'll say this. Even though Project Cars is my favorite racing game, they piss me off. And the reason that is because, at times, it seems like the damn game is completely broken. And you may be wondering, Justin, what are you talking about? I'll tell you. When you're practicing or qualifying, you can run the car and everything feels fine. The car drives well, you get the feel of it, you like it. You say to yourself, I can win with this. This is fun. This is a good driving car. However, when the race starts, the car doesn't drive anything like it did when you practice it, especially on the ovals. What the hell is going on with the ovals in that game? I remember doing a Daytona oval race in the Indy cars. I was practicing well. I was at the top of the charts consistently. I was having a damn blast with a smile plastered across my face. I got to the race. I headed into the first corner, turned the wheel, and the steering was completely different than it had been all along. Whereas before I was having to put a lot of turn into it, and it was tight, and it was feeling good. I go into the first corner, I start to turn, the car immediately spins out in the first corner, taking off for the inside wall, and I crashed. And I know, after talking to some of the drivers, I know the same thing happened to a few of the drivers in this race, and it killed some of the competition that we could have seen up front in this Indy 500 instead of just the two cars, Francis and Vasilios. So this message is exclusively for Project Cars. Project Cars, fix it. That's all I'm saying. Fix it now. Fix it good. Nuff said. Nuff said. I would like to take a quick shout out though to my friends at SRL. And all that they have coming up. Follow SRL on YouTube at SRL League F1. Season 4 is in the future with GTE Racing also. That I would actually love to be a part of that somehow, some way, because I love the GT Racing. I'm going to have to look into that and see if they'll allow me to do that. They also have a Le Mans coming up, which will be exciting to view, because Le Mans is probably one of the greatest races in the world. I know it's one of my favorite. Also, check out them online at srlracingleague.weebly.com. Really good website. Very well done. Love that website. And stay tuned to NRN for more SRL racing news, plus some interviews with drivers like Cameron, Western, Edwards, which we are in talks for, and hopefully we can have a chat with Francis McGinn as well on his Indy 500 win. That's going to do it for me here with the SRL Indy 500 recap. Join me tomorrow for the recap for the F1 race from Canada and the NASCAR race from Michigan. Plus, I've got some news from Le Mans that you don't want to miss, and you want to stick around for that because Le Mans is just around the corner, and you won't want to miss that. You won't want to miss that at all. Sadly, I'm going to be taking a week off. It's my birthday this week on the 13th. And I'll be going out of town to celebrate that. So I won't be doing any videos next week. I do apologize about that, but you know how it is. It's my birthday. What can I say? It's like my holiday, right? Can't believe I'm turning 30, though. I am turning 30. I'm becoming an old bastard. Anyway, I'm Justin. This is NRN, the Noble Racing Network, and I will see you tomorrow. Take it easy.